Alright guys, today we're going to do something called a bound or a broad jump, we refer to as. This is going to help with your deadlift tremendously because you're working on explosive hip extension, which will also be a key in developing your ball toss or your ball throw. Okay, so both hip extension and those two movements in particular needs to be incredibly powerful. All right, the more powerful it is, the more weight or the easier the weight that you lift in the deadlift, and the further you throw the ball. All right. So first things first, talk about stance. For anything powerful, the stance is usually about hip width. Okay. So if you were to approach something and try to jump as high as you possibly can, and then regard where your feet were. Okay. So if you're looking at where your feet are, most people, it's actually pretty narrow. All right. A lot of people think it's here. But when I take a video of them or something like that, it's really right underneath their hips. That is where vertical power is created. All right, so be thinking about that a little bit. The wider you go, the more you're stable and the less you're really creating vertical power. So be thinking about that with your stance and your setup. So right underneath those hips is pretty good. You could, because you'll be landing in the broad jump, you could go a little wider because you will need that stability later on. All right, but you can mess with the movement yourself and decide what works best for you. All right, so that's the stance. The next thing is that position. All right, if we look at the position, I don't want to just like slump into this, right? I want to make sure my hips go back, my core is stabilized, just like the initiation of a squat, right? But I'm going to throw my arms behind me. Okay, so this should look very familiar from some of the PT that you're used to doing, where, what is it, the power jump starts right here, starting position move, right? That's this right here, okay? Same exact position for the bound right here, okay? Now with the bound, your starting position and your ending position is pretty dang close to the same. So when I finish my jump, I'm finishing in about the same place. And what that's gonna enable me to do is move into another jump, all right? As you're beginning this, don't just broad jump after broad jump after broad jump. Make sure that you guys are feeling stable before you jump again so that you're getting maximum power through every jump, okay? If you just link them together, but you're not creating your stabilization when you land fast enough, you will bleed power immediately and you won't be able to transfer energy as well through the hips, okay? So make sure that you guys are going slow at first, but being powerful through the jump, okay? So starting in any position are pretty much the exact same, okay? The transition from starting to end, all right? Basically, we want to think rapid hip extension, okay? So if my hip's loaded, I can extend my hip, okay? So this is rule number one, try not to jump like this. Okay. Rule number one is try to extend those hips. Okay. Two would probably be unweighing yourself. Okay. So we're trying to displace our center of gravity a little bit, and we can use our arms to help. Okay. The arms initiate the movement and start pulling us off the ground to assist or create momentum for us to push off with. Okay. So once we get a little bit of momentum, we can take off fast. Okay. So the arms are what is going to unweigh us. All right. And then the last thing to think about is that this should all happen once you get into that start position. You don't pause. As soon as you get there, you snap your fingers, okay? So just do this a few times. And then the next time you do it, right, you're snapping to that hip extension and trying to bound, okay? Now, the main thing here is quads, glutes, extend rapidly, right? And then on top of that, you got the arms, you got all your momentum, all right? Obviously, the furthermore you put your momentum in front of you, right, and furthermore you displace your center of gravity, the further you're gonna go during your broad jump, okay? It's not all about how hard you drive. It's about how far you're really displacing your center of mass forward when you go to transition, okay? So drive hard, and it should be with a snap of your fingers, everything happens, okay? And when you land, you're stable. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments below or email us at the email in the description.